Perfect. Thank you. Gonna give people oh, it's already 1:05, maybe like another minute. Thank you. Glad you're well. It is flurrying here, which, yay, so exciting. Snow. Some people will say, "Oh, you live in Boston, you should be used to it." What does that even mean? I never know what people are talking about when they say that. So, all right, well, I'm going to get started. Thank you for being here consistently. And for anybody who watches on the replay, please put in replay in the comments or in the chat so that I can come back and look at your comments and address you properly. And it's sunny there. Hopefully, it is also warm, which is not warm here, but that's okay. Life has seasons, we have seasons, and we move on. But thank you so much for joining me for day 7 of Forward to Fulfillment. Today is about taking bold action. None of this, I tell people a vision without action is just a dream. And what's the point in having all these really cool visions for our lives if we're not taking action to actually make it to that point? I remember actually starting the Good Old Girls Network was a bold action for me. For many, many years, people would ask me, "Are you a life coach? Do you do life coaching? Do you have any training courses?" And I would say, "No, I'm not a life coach. I consider myself a pathfinder. I, generally speaking, don't work with people one on one, but I really enjoy conversations with groups of people that help them advance." And why this didn't occur to me before, who knows? But the time is now, it's here. I'm excited. It's bold for me because I typically have, again, these conversations with people in silos. When you put yourself out on the internet, obviously you leave yourself open to lots of critiques and criticisms and all the things. But in practicing what I preach, when you're confident in where you are and what you're doing, when other people disagree with it or don't like it, again, cool. I have settled it for myself. Therefore, flattery and criticism go down the same drain, and I am yet free. So I have arrived to a place where I am willing to discuss these concepts that I believe in. I think they will be helpful for other people in order to move themselves forward. And, enough of facades. I want people to trade the facades for fulfillment and just know that no matter what you do, people will have something to say about it. There are times where I come across people and they are very comfortable being themselves. They don't really do things that aren't uncomfortable for them. They're good at saying no, but it still doesn't feel good to them because they haven't really yet arrived at a place where there's an understanding that you cannot, will not please all of the people all of the time, and that oftentimes our way of living, no matter what that is, excuse me, is going to tap a button somewhere for someone. As I mentioned earlier in the week, that is theirs to deal with. Whenever we have an emotion, whenever someone else has an emotion, they have to tend to it, to dig in, to figure out what is it that's causing that emotion. Bold actions mean different things to different people. One of the things is, where in your life could you make a bold action that would make you a little uncomfortable? Right? And it could be something as much as speaking to your neighbor. That might be a bold action where you may have assumed something about this person for so long, and today you're deciding that you're going to walk over and say hello. That might be a very bold action for you. Maybe you're shy, or maybe you have a way you feel, you have an opinion about something that you think would be helpful online, but you've not wanted to say something about it because you don't want the backlash. Maybe even posting about something is a bold move for you or bold action. So no one can decide what that is, but I would like you to think about what a bold action would be for you and take a step. The thing about moving in these spaces that potentially make us uncomfortable is that once we do them a few times, we realize that the world doesn't end, that it wasn't as bad as we thought. Excuse me. Oh, I don't have a cup of anything today. I'm breaking my own rule. Anyway, I am going to get a cup of something after this. But recognizing that those bold actions release us, right? We get it off our chest. We say what it is that we wanted to say, and then we feel better about it. And people have to deal with how they feel about what it is that we're offering to the world. They can always scroll, they don't have to engage. And when people choose to, if they're coming for understanding, I'm always open for that. Even if the way you expressed yourself isn't the most tactful, but I feel like you're really there for understanding and a conversation, I'm all in. But the trolls, no, thank you. You don't have to engage. So I remember when I wrote my book and I call myself the accidental author. Well, thank you, Millie. I'm so happy to hear that. I call myself the accidental author. And you know how I feel about labels already. So if a friend tells someone that I'm just meeting, Monica wrote a book, and they say, "Oh, you're an author." And I said, "No, I wrote a book." And they said, "Well, that's being an author in my book." You can label it what you want. But for me, I don't know if um, sometimes when you do that, not sometimes, when you label yourself, people put you in a box. Oh, she's an author. Well, I also do other things. I speak, I create content, I help people find a direction. So there's all these things that I do, and I don't think that they require a label. But even releasing that book was a bold step for me. It was my little old story that who wants to hear my story? Why would I write it down? And then my own voice came back to my head that said, your life and your journey is more than for you. It is also for the edification of other people. Share your stories, the parts of you that you are willing to share. And people might judge what you're saying. Who cares? But you're going to run into at least one person or more who need to hear who need to relate, who need to know that even if it's not the exact same situation, maybe there's a strategy, a way that you dealt with it that would be so helpful for that person. 5% of people who actually want to write books do. So I encourage people to always write their story. Okay. So taking bold actions. There was a motivational, a quote actually, that said the most difficult thing is the decision to act. The rest is mere tenacity. Boldness creates momentum, and momentum leads to fulfillment. Think about that for a second. It's that same thing where they said the journey to 1,000 miles is taking 10,000 miles is taking the first step. That is all it is. Going from what you're envisioning to actually what you're experiencing is just about doing. So what I'd like you to do today is to think of a bold action. Again, you don't have to write it here, but think of a bold action that you are willing to take. Again, you have to define that for yourself. So don't judge it. If it feels like a bold action to you because it makes you go, I don't know if I can do that, or I don't know if I should do that, then it's a bold action. And again, earlier, for whoever just joined us on the call, it could be something as speaking to your neighbor, because maybe you had this perception of your neighbor, and today you're going to walk over and say hello. It doesn't matter what the bold action is, but take one bold action or something that you've been putting off because you're afraid of the consequences. Knowing again or showing yourself that taking that bold action, the world is still going to keep spinning on its axis. Hopefully the sun will come out tomorrow. The point is, your bold action won't be the reason why things fall apart or fall down. So lastly, I want to say I read a lot and see a lot of videos about being enough and that people, wondering if they are enough. And it's so interesting to me. That's a concept that I often tell people to dig into, because what does enough mean? Enough for whom? Enough for what? We are already enough, and whatever enough is in this moment. So let's say if um, I needed to pass a basic math test. Well, I'm enough because I have basic math skills. But if I wanted to pass a calculus class right now, well, I don't have enough knowledge, but I can get it, if that makes sense. So I don't know what the enoughness is, but I want you to remember that you are enough and you are more than capable of creating the life that you want. We all deserve it. We all deserve it. So take the leap, trust yourself, and watch how fulfillment follows. I will see you in the coming weeks. Today is day 7. We will not do a live on the wrap, but the wrap video is available on the site. We are launching on March 3rd during Women's History Month. If you haven't already, go over to the GOGN, thegoggin.com, drop your email in so you can stay aware. One other thing that I wanted to bring up that I mentioned is that I am on this 90-day journey to fulfillment. You can get this on Amazon. And I just wanted to share my day one. So I took my assessment at the front of the book. And honestly, I was a little bit shocked because I hadn't done it before I created it. I just made it. Anyway, areas that I would like to focus on are financial, spiritual, and emotional. Woohoo! Yes. And I really enjoyed this process. I read the book as if I were just a consumer and not the creator. So here were my intentions for day one. Number one, spiritual, to meditate for at least 10 minutes. Number 2 was emotional. There's so much going on. Normally, I'm pretty even in my emotional state. However, while I'm not consuming a lot of news, it's very difficult to go online or get in your group chats and not hear something about the turmoil that is going on in the world, from plane crashes to politics. And so I've been a little more uneven emotionally. And so I'm committed to watching or reading something inspiring and staying off of social media a lot today. I'm doing that to fulfill my emotional cup. And then lastly is professional. I've been working so hard on the Good Old Girls Network that I haven't really been making professional connections. So today I'm committed to making a list of connections that I would like to um, reach out to, engage next week, and when I'm going to do it. And then at the end of the day, I'm going to go back to the other side to make sure that I did what I said I was going to do. And if not, to understand what the obstacle was. So thank you so much for showing up today. I love you so much for fulfilling your cup, because when you're better, I'm better. Enjoy the rest of your day, and I will see you in the Good Old Girls Network community. The future is fulfilled, ladies, and it starts right now. Thank you. Bye, Millie.